Silver Bullet. Silver Bullet is a 1985 horror film directed by Dan Attias and produced by Dino De Laurentiis. The film is based on the novel Cycle of the Werewolf, 1983, by Stephen King. It stars Gary Busey and Corey Haim. Plot. The film opens with a man being attacked by a strange creature on the train tracks. We then see Martin, a boy with a disability who uses a wheelchair, playing with his friend Brady. His sister Jane arrives, always angry with him because their parents force her to take care of him. Jane overhears a neighbor talking to her boyfriend, telling him she's pregnant, but he doesn't want the baby and leaves her. On his way home, Martin asks Jane about her Uncle Red, whom she loves dearly, but she tells him that her uncle was divorced and a drunk, angering Martin. The pregnant neighbor was about to commit suicide, but before she could, she was attacked in the night by the unborn child. The young woman's mother heard her daughter's cries for help and watched in horror as she lay lifeless. The next morning, the town's sheriffs discussed the woman's case. Some men in town, at a bar, complained about the sheriffs, saying they wouldn't be able to find the killer, in a derogatory manner. This was overheard by one of the sheriffs, starting a fight among them. The bar owner broke up the fight, threatening them with his baseball bat, which he called the Peacemaker. Martin went to school and met up with his friends. After school, he walked his friend Tammy home. As they pass by, they come across the house of the murdered neighbor, where the police are investigating the case. Before saying goodbye to her friend, she tells Martine that she was afraid to walk past that house and that strange sounds could be heard at night in a small greenhouse in their yard, which frightened her. The girl's father, a very unpleasant man, calls her over to ask for her mother's help, making a very derogatory comment about Martine. Martine's friend's father was watching television when he hears a sound coming from the greenhouse outside his house. Thinking it was mischievous children, he goes to investigate with his shotgun. Upon investigating, he notices that his belongings have been broken. The creature was hiding among the plants, waiting for the perfect moment to attack him. The werewolf suddenly emerges from underground, grabs him by the legs, and kills him. The next morning, the neighbors stared at the newspaper, stunned by the news of another death. Everyone was frightened and locked themselves in their homes before nightfall. Martin and his friend Brady were playing in a park when Martin's sister, Jane, came looking for him. Martin asked Brady if he would go with them, but Brady said he would leave later, staying behind on his own. That night, the neighbors at the bar began complaining about the police officers who weren't doing anything to catch the killer. One of them overheard them and started an argument. Just then, Brady's father arrived at the bar, asking if anyone had seen his son, as he hadn't returned home. A police officer found Brady's lifeless body. His father arrives with the other commissioner who was at the bar, finding his son mutilated and horrified. That night, some neighbors are planning an ambush to capture the creature together. The commissioner tells them not to dare go and that they should return home, but they ignore him, saying that if the police can't catch him, they will. But the commissioner tells them that what they want to do is vigilante justice, and that's not allowed. At that moment, Brady's father arrives and silences them, saying that his son was torn to pieces and that he is distraught and inconsolable. The commissioner tries to reason with him, but he says that he wouldn't understand, since his son was ripped to pieces, and that he has the nerve to talk about vigilante justice. He asks why he doesn't go to the cemetery and exhume his son's remains and explain to him what vigilante justice is, but the commissioner keeps his head down, refusing to look him in the eye. Finally, he leaves, saying he will seek his own justice. Everyone follows him in search of the creature. The village reverend tries to persuade them, but they refuse and leave. All the villagers head into the woods with dogs to track the creature. The thick fog makes it nearly impossible to see anything. They light their flashlights and carry their weapons. One of the dogs barks in fear, which is heard by one of the villagers. At that moment, one of them accidentally catches his foot in an animal trap, but another villager manages to help him. The others continue tracking the creature, saying they should go back since there's nothing there. But one of the villagers insists on continuing, hearing sounds and saying among themselves that they should split up to surround the creature. Some elderly people following them hear the beast's growls as they are attacked. The beast takes advantage of the fog to attack them from below, hunting them down one by one. They try to escape, but the creature pursues them. The bar owner tries to attack the creature with his bat but is struck by it. The next day, everyone is at the neighbor's funeral. The town reverend is about to give his testimony when he sees everyone transform into beasts and attack him, leaving him frightened, but it turns out to be just a dream. The town's fireworks display is cancelled, saddening Marta. Red, Marty's uncle, talks to him and tells him not to let it get him down and that he'll give him a surprise to cheer him up. He gives Martin a new motorized wheelchair called the Silver Bullet, which makes Martin very happy. Martin tries out his silver bullet and is overjoyed. Before leaving, his uncle also gives him a bag of fireworks to light secretly near his house. Then he says goodbye. That night, Martin escapes through his window and takes his silver bullet to a bridge near the forest to set off the fireworks. As he lights them, he is seen by the werewolf who had been stalking him that night. Martin notices this and, seeing it approaching, manages to light a firework, injuring its eye, and escape. He gets home, climbs upstairs, and lies down on his bed, terrified. He calls his uncle Red and tells him he saw the werewolf, but Red, half asleep, doesn't believe him. He says it was just a nightmare and that werewolves don't exist. Martin insists it's true, but Red doesn't believe him and hangs up. The next day, his sister Jane asks if he's alright. He decides to tell her everything that happened and what he told his uncle Red, but that his uncle didn't believe him and that she's the only one who can help him. He tells her everything. His sister decides to help him by going around town collecting bottles for the church, going house to house to find the man Martin says is a werewolf, since he injured his eye and it would be easier to identify him that way. Jean goes to many places looking for the man, but she can't find him. When she arrives at the church, she gives the collected bottles to the reverend, who tells her to go into the garage to leave them. Startled, she trips over the bottles and sees the baseball bat that belonged to the owner of the bar called the Peacemaker. At that moment, the reverend arrives, and Jane notices with horror that he's missing an eye. Frightened, she tells him she has to leave. He offers her a ride, but she refuses. The reverend suspects she knows his secret. When they get home, Jane and Martin decide to send the reverend a letter threatening him, revealing that they know his secret. He receives it and is furious. Then they tell their Uncle Red what they did. He gets angry with them, saying he expected something like that from Martin, but not from Jane, since he thought she would be more reasonable. Martin tells Red that he's coming for him and that Jane saw the bar owner's baseball bat in his garage while he was putting away the bottles he brought her. The bar owner had died after being attacked by the beast. Uncle Red doesn't believe them and tells them to forget it. They head to the Reverend's house, watching him from a distance. Uncle Red tells them that if the Reverend had an injured eye, he wouldn't be painting so calmly as he was at that moment, he'd be in the hospital or even dead. But Martin tells him that he didn't injure him when he was a man, but when he was a werewolf. Red asks Jane if she believes in that werewolf nonsense, but she says she's not sure, though she knows what she saw in that garage. She says the place smelled awful and that she believes in her brother, telling him that he used to believe in him too. Martin watches the children having fun playing baseball, longing to be like them. The Reverend watches him from afar. On his way home, Martin notices the Reverend following him in his car. The Reverend catches up, ramming into Martin's silver bullet, which nearly plunges into the river. Just as the Reverend is about to ram him again, Martin drives off. The Reverend follows, getting stuck on a road. Martin takes advantage of this to escape, but he runs out of gas and crashes into a broken shack. The Reverend arrives and, getting out of his car, walks over to Martin, telling him he's sorry. Martin tells him he won't say anything to anyone and to let him go, but the Reverend mentions that the Bible says suicide is the greatest sin a person can commit, which is why he killed his pregnant neighbor, since she was going to commit suicide. He says he saved her from eternal hell, by killing her, he took her physical life, but saved her eternal life. He says all these things serve God's will, and that Martin should understand. At that moment, they heard a neighbor approaching with his tractor. Martin shouted for help and was heard. The Reverend, seeing the neighbor approaching, left. Martin told his uncle and sister what had happened, but they didn't believe him. After examining the silver bullet holes, he noticed a dent and asked Jane what color the Reverend's car was. She told him it was blue, the same blue that was visible in the dent in Martin's motorized wheelchair. Uncle Red, stunned, finally believed them and went to the sheriff to report what had happened. The sheriff didn't believe him, but told him he would still keep an eye on the Reverend. Red thanked him and left. That night, the sheriff went to the Reverend's house and knocked on the door, but no one answered. He then checked the Reverend's car and saw the damage it sustained when he attacked Martin, realizing that Red's story was true. At that moment, the Reverend appears. The commissioner points his gun at him, demanding he go with him to the station. The Reverend manages to knock him down and, transforming into a werewolf, kills him. The next day, Martin, his sister, and his uncle discuss the commissioner's disappearance after going to investigate the Reverend, and asks what he suggests they do about it. Martin and Jane tell him to take their chains and turn them into a silver bullet. Uncle Red agrees to their proposal and goes with them to a gunsmith. Red asks the gunsmith if he could create a silver bullet from the necklaces. The gunsmith does so, creating a perfect piece of silver. The next full moon, Marty's parents go on vacation, thanks to tickets from Uncle Red, who manages to keep Martin and Jane looking after them that night. They fall asleep after keeping watch for the creature. Uncle Red, burning himself with a cigarette, wakes up, dropping his gun and waking everyone else. Martin tells him to be careful, that he might have accidentally fired the gun and that could have been the end of his silver bullet, but Red gets angry, saying that's enough, there's no werewolf, and they should go to sleep. Martin refuses. Uncle Red tells him it's almost 3 in the morning and nothing has happened. Jane says the moon hasn't set yet and it could appear. He says he'll stay awake, but they should go to sleep. Martin says no. At that moment, Jane sees the werewolf through the window and screams in fright. Uncle Red asks Martin if he saw it too, but Martin says it was looking at him. Red checks the window, but there's nothing there. Angry with them, he takes the bullet out of the gun, saying he feels like a fool for believing them. Just then, the power goes out, scaring everyone. They start hearing noises, and then the creature bursts through the wall. Uncle Red is attacked by the beast, and the gun and bullet fall into a hole. Martin tries to catch it but can't. He tells Jane to find the gun. Jane is attacked by the creature, and Red gets up and helps her, hitting the werewolf. It lets go of her, and she grabs the gun and gives it to Martin. Uncle Red tries to defend himself, but the beast throws him onto the sofa. Jane tells him to leave him alone, but the beast is already moving to attack them. Martin manages to grab the silver bullet and, before the werewolf can attack them, shoots it in the other eye, killing it. His uncle stood up, watching in astonishment as the beast slowly transformed into Reverend Loy. He was shocked. At that moment, the Reverend rose, screaming and startling them. But luckily, he was already dead. His Uncle Red hugged them. Jane asked Martin if he was alright. He said yes, except for his legs. Jane asked him what was wrong, and he jokingly replied that he couldn't walk, making them laugh. He told Jane he loved her, they hugged, and the film ended.